And for the girl, the guy actually never exists. It's like he's a typical nerd, and the girl is like the most talked about lady of the school. Okay, something maybe what you can associate with truly madly deeply for the female protagonist. So, what happens when they end up in the same college? Okay, and this guy realizes that his feelings have never dissipated, but they have only grown stronger day by day. So, this guy ultimately he ends up kidnapping this girl during her wedding day, and he takes her to his suburban farmhouse somewhere on the outskirts of the city. Now, this farmhouse has been deserted for years and years, right since the guy's parents moved out. Okay, and this is where he keeps her bound to a bed. Now, the girl is unconscious because she has been knocked out by chloroform when he has kidnapped her. So, I read out from there. Hardly had I done so, then Aarti began stirring and twisting her delicate body. She moaned in a low, delectable tone, her eyelids fluttering a little. The chloroform was losing its effect, and for some strange reason, the butterflies in my stomach returned. I wasn't ready for the confrontation, not yet. I still felt as jittery as the first time I had tried talking to her. No, it would have to wait. I needed some more time to ready myself. Without thinking about anything else, I fumbled for the chloroform bottle lying nearby, tilting it to the right where my handkerchief waited to soak in the liquid. Aarti moaned again, trying to move her tied-up limbs, and her eyelashes seemed to rise. I shivered nervously, my hands shaking so hard that it was becoming difficult to think in a clear manner. And in the process, half the bottle of the knockout liquid flooded the cloth. Aarti opened her eyes, looking up towards the ceiling, and without thinking about anything, I jumped ahead, slapping the handkerchief into her face with my right hand while covering her eyes with my left. I felt her struggle against my hold, her tied-up limbs disturbing the white sheet laid beneath her. It took all my force to hold the cloth in place till I was sure Aarti was back to her dreamy state. I pulled back, heaving a sigh of relief as I dropped down beside Aarti on the bed. I don't quite remember my eyes shutting down, my tiredness overtaking my attempts at keeping myself awake to look over Aarti. In that dreamy state, an inexplicable feeling usurped me, giving rise to horror, as I witnessed a pair of gruesome blackened hands making their way towards my neck. I could feel my throat constricting as they closed in. The hands came together as they neared my face. Red bangles on the wrist, their clanking sounded like someone ringing the death knell on my grave. I choked, trying to breathe in large amounts of air as the hands wrapped themselves around my neck. My eyes bulged out with inhuman strength as they squeezed the life out of me. I willed myself to open my eyes and sat upright in the bed, gasping for air and wiping the sweat swimming over my forehead. Slowly I got down and looked out of the window. It was still dark outside. My wristwatch told me it was 2 in the morning. I tried the switches on the wall, but no light came on. Power cut, I groaned. That was a common problem in this part of the city. I checked on Aarti. She was still unconscious. I wondered what would have happened to the wedding, how Sumit would have reacted, and what people would have said. It didn't matter to me anymore. I had her with me, and nothing else was the key to my happiness. I promised myself to confess everything to her when she woke up in the morning. I sat on the wobbly chair opposite the bed, intending to watch over her. I don't remember how long I sat there, but I narrowed my eyes when my reverie was broken by a sound. Slow and soft. It seemed to be the jingling of bangles. Strangely, it sounded similar, almost as if I had heard that before, somewhere. I walked gingerly to the door and looked out of the room, but the darkness was a deterrent to my vision. I heard the sound again. It seemed to come from somewhere above me, the attic. I looked up, but couldn't see anything in the meager moonlight coming through the ventilator. The sound repeated, the jingle echoing across the hall. Mice, I reasoned with myself and went back to my chair. Hardly had I parked myself when the sound reached me again. This time it was accompanied by whimpers and wails that made me stand up and hold the chair for support. The hair at the nape of my neck stood at an angle. This surely can't be mice, I told myself, and slowly walked out of the room again. I peered into the attic and immediately backtracked. There was someone squatting near the bars, holding their head between the legs. I could just about see their shadow in the limited moonlight. The first thing that came to my mind was that it was some drug peddler who had made this vacant apartment his hideout at night. I picked up a sturdy vase lying nearby and slowly advanced towards the attic, climbing the steps without a sound. The sobs sounded louder, almost feminine now. "Who is it?" I shouted as soon as I crept inside the confined space. The sound stopped as soon as I spoke. Something stirred. I could see the shadowy figure lift its head, and all of a sudden it turned towards me. I staggered back and fell onto the floor, the vase ran crashing out of my hands. The bones in my body started clattering against each other. Their jitter strangely sounded familiar to the clanking of bangles. The face, that face, those red charcoal-like burning eyes in a subdued form they belonged to. I couldn't think clearly. No, it couldn't be. The meager amount of moonlight too vanished. A cold gust of wind blew in my face, unsettling me, and suddenly the faint light entered the attic again. The cloud had moved on, and so had the figure in the attic. There was no one near the bars. As I stood up, my legs still shaking, a loud thud made me skip a heartbeat. I quickly ran towards the bedroom. The door was shut.
Oh God, this is